All right, everyone, welcome back into another NFL DFS video. Going to be breaking down the Monday Night Showdown slate that we have between the San Francisco 49ers and the Indianapolis Colts. Game, obviously, with Philip Rivers being back. A pretty interesting point spread and point total as well. We'll touch on that, and we'll jump on in then to the top DFS plays. So point total wise, it does start about 46.2 points, which I would say is basically correct if we are going to get that same version of Philip Rivers that we got last week. And I do think that that ends up being key, guys, because I don't think people really recognize just how stellar he kind of looked in kind of grading with his scale, given the age that he is. For him to come in and look as good as he did, I mean, I would say he looked better than Sam Darnold last week. I don't really even think that's much of a hot take. Now, I don't want to sit there and say he played elite, but some people are going to have the recency bias of the Seattle Rams game in there from Darnold, where he looked pretty terrible in the first half and then kind of got a little bit lucky in the second half and was able to obviously come up with some clutch plays there at the end. Clearly, I'm just trying to paint the picture that Philip Rivers did enough for the offense for us to somewhat really not change too much. I mean, obviously the offense is taking a step down, but from what we were seeing from Daniel Jones over the past few weeks with him being banged up, that's basically what we saw out of Philip Rivers. So we'll talk about those plays, but it is a 5.5 point spread. So that is probably going to favor more of a run heavy script there for the Niners. And my only question is, are we at all concerned about maybe the potential for this game to end up potentially being a blowout? Like if CMC is doing really well, are we maybe looking at Brian Robinson Jr. getting a little bit of work as well? But I do think we are just basically having to put in CMC into our builds. Now, guys, on top of that, we do know that Ricky Pearsall is going to be out in this game. So that should create some little value for us on the slate. Like looking at Kendrick Bourne, guys, he is somewhat priced up, but he's going to be the natural replacement there for Ricky Pearsall, as we have seen him be over the past, or, in the past. I don't think we necessarily need to get to Kendrick Bourne, though. He did play 47% of the snaps. I would expect him to play, closer to about 60%. Overall, I just think that's actually going to end up benefiting George Kittle a ton. He's almost someone that we need to be going out of our way to target. CMC will probably get some work now in the receiving game as well with Ricky Pearsall being out. I just think those targets are going to go to him. And so CMC is kind of someone that I think we should be looking at as a lineup lock. Juwan Jennings now becomes a pretty solid play overall. The touchdown streak continued, guys, last week. It's actually crazy how many touchdowns he has scored lately. 1-1-0, but ended up with 9.4, 1-1-2. I would say he's due for regression, right? But he gets a very good matchup this week going against the Colts, and now Ricky Pearsall is out. That's going to make him an easy click. And then also Brock Purdy. Those are, simply put, the easiest clicks on the slate. Those four. Now, we could get cute with it a little bit. Like Eddie Pinheiro is certainly an interesting play here for the Niners. Definitely someone that we should be looking at. 14 points the last 2 weeks. I think that's certainly within the realm of possibilities because that Colts offense has been that Colts defense has been good enough to be able to stop some drives to the point where I do think we are going to expect Pinheiro to be someone that's, kicking it a little bit. And then from there, we're not necessarily getting great values here for the Niners. The only one I could maybe consider, and this isn't even really worth mentioning, I don't think, would be Jordan Watkins. If he were going to be active in the game, maybe we can consider him a play. But I don't think we'll know. If he were active, that would kind of signal that they actually like him. But I think it's just going to be Bourne, maybe a little bit Demarcus Robinson, and that's basically it. We just know it's very top heavy. We want to be on those four. Now, from there, guys, we're going to go ahead and get on into the Colts. So, yes, with the Colts, I don't think we really want to be playing Philip Rivers. We would need him to throw for a touchdown, which he did do. He actually had some pretty brutal drops on some pretty key plays for him. And so tough to say what we do with that, but I do think Jonathan Taylor, he's going to be fine, guys. He ended up with 25 carries, 87 yards. Philip Rivers did enough to the point where I think we're comfortable getting to Jonathan Taylor. Although, is he a must play? I don't know. I do struggle with that a little bit just because the defense will be selling out to obviously stop Jonathan Taylor as they should be doing. So with that, we have to find some other plays that we could potentially play. So one of them would end up being Alec Pierce, I believe he should have had a touchdown in the game. I kind of forget off the top of my head, but he played 100% of the snaps, guys. Only one target. We didn't necessarily love that, but he's certainly going to be someone that interests me a little bit. Josh Downs ended up playing 71% of the snaps, had an 89% snaps or route share, only ended up with 26 air yards. Okay, we didn't necessarily love that, but 5 targets, guys. Phillip Rivers being the quarterback, I think Josh Downs actually makes a lot of sense. Let's just kind of check down city. And so Josh Downs actually becomes a pretty darn interesting play in this game. And then obviously Michael Pittman, still the top receiver there. If someone's going to go off, it probably would most likely be him in regards to his pass catchers. That being said, I do think Tyler Warren's a little bit too cheap. I think he is someone that actually does benefit with Phillip Rivers being the quarterback there as well. So we could certainly look at him. And then kind of a sneaky decent play is Amir Abdullah, who did get used a lot catching the football. Amir Abdullah has always been, I kind of feel bad for him. He got a lot of hype fantasy football wise when he was younger. And now more recently, guys, he always looks good when he's on the field. He just can't stay healthy. And he's someone that played 24% of the snaps only, but ended up with 9 opportunities in that game, 5 targets as well. And again, with Phillip Rivers, I actually think Amir Abdullah becomes pretty darn appealing. Now, I don't think we necessarily need to play him in the captain spot like this lineup is presenting here, but he's someone that I do think makes a lot of sense as like a punt value play for us. And so I think we want to try to do that. So obviously if we were going with like Brock Purdy, Jennings, CMC, and Kittle, ideally we would get to one of the Niners players in the captain and then punt to, let's say, Abdullah, for example. I think we can do that. Who's the lowest priced player that we feel comfortable getting to? I would actually be more comfortable getting to George Kittle in the captain spot rather than I do Juwan Jennings. But as you guys see, they did a pretty good job pricing the slate to the point where we're not actually able to do that. And then same thing if we were to go with Jennings in the captain spot. We could punt to Pittman. I wouldn't hate that necessarily, but also I don't love it. And so what I'm doing is I'm kind of just betting on Downs to hopefully score a touchdown for us. That way we can still get to Jennings and Kittle, and we're still doing some correlated stacks there. This kind of lineup does favor more of a game where the Niners have the lead, obviously, and the Colts are playing from behind. So it does somewhat correlate. So I don't mind that. Now that's my thoughts. Let's go ahead and see what the 9-to-5 DFS lineup builder is telling us. And so I'm not going to do anything unique to this, guys. We're just going to run it and just see what it presents to us as the top builds here. Jonathan Taylor, CMC, Purdy, Kittle, Abdullah, and Jordan James. So I do think it is trying to punt, naturally speaking, and that's really why I added this projected fantasy score filter there. We'll run it again, guys, and then we're going to kind of get rid of those outliers. Again, Jordan Watkins maybe is someone we're interested in, but after that, we are getting a higher floor. So Eddie Pinheiro there, Kyle Juszczyk. I'm okay with that. I could see Kyle Juszczyk maybe getting a play or two. I think we'd rather just get up to Brian Robinson Jr. But again, I think I like Amir Abdullah the most there, but it does make sense to kind of punt. The double kicker lineup I don't hate here as well, just for what it's worth. Kittle, CMC, Purdy, Downs, Pinheiro, and Blake Grupe. That's actually probably my favorite lineup there. That's pretty darn appealing there. But that's going to do it for this video, guys. Appreciate you being here. Make sure to leave a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel as well. Thank you guys for watching. Good luck with all your lineups. If you guys want access to that 9-to-5 lineup builder, make sure to head on over to 9to5sports.com. Get access to that tool for a low monthly cost of $10 a month. All right, that's going to do it, guys. Appreciate you guys. Good luck. And as always, let's keep cashing.